So the Calgary Flames, moving on to the next subject, have 2 seconds, a fifth, and a seventh. Do you think that means that they're done after the addition of Tyler Toffoli?
Well, they might be, just because, as you say, I mean, they have no picks.
Right.
You know, I mean, they've got the 2 seconds. They've traded away their first, their third, and their fourth are gone. So that's a lot of currency. And to me, you know, in the Toffoli trade, they made it pretty clear they weren't going to give up a Dylan Dubé or a Connor Zary. So, I mean, why, you know, if they weren't willing to give it up for Tyler Toffoli, why would they be willing to do it in a subsequent trade that probably won't bring someone that is as impactful as Tyler Toffoli?
Yeah.
Okay. So to me, you know, now you're sort of nibbling around the edges, right? So they probably need some help on the right side a little bit, you know. So do you go out and do you get a Rickard Rakell or someone like that? And then, you know, on the D side of things, I could see them, you know, sort of trying to get a defenseman, but not, you know, a frontline guy, more of one of those depth guys that we talked about previously, like a Justin Braun or, you know, one of those guys. I could definitely see that. But, you know, I mean, they're going pretty well. You know, they're top heavy with their scoring but they're getting some fairly decent contributions down the line as well. Unless, you know, like, has Sean Monahan worn out his welcome in Calgary? You know, maybe he's a chip that you're willing to trade.
If you trade him, you've got to get some kind of a replacement for him in that trade.
You have to get a centerman who can play on your bottom 2 lines, because that's kind of where he's sort of fitting in these days.
Yeah, I mean, a very good bottom 2 line center.
Yeah, I mean, he's not ahead of Lindholm. He's not ahead of Backlund, right? So now he's a bottom 6 centerman. So maybe somebody says, well, on our team, he could be our second line center. And so maybe one of those struggling teams will be willing to, you know, make a deal with them to get a Sean Monahan.
So just looking at Sean Monahan, he's got 1 more year, 2022, 23, and then he's a UFA.
Yep.
He's at $6.375 million.
Yeah.
Wonder if that could work in a Claude Giroux deal.
You're going to have to Calgary's going to have to eat some of that.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've got 1 more year to UFA and then no more years to UFA. The lining lines up pretty well. I don't know. But I mean, this brings out the next concern, which is, do you think that Calgary would be worried about messing with their chemistry? They're really rolling right now.
They are. They lost last night, but I mean, all things being equal, you're going to lose some games, right? So
sooner or later.
Yeah. No, I think they've overachieved. Yeah. You know, they've really shown a lot better than I think a lot of people had them. I think people had them kind of in the playoff mix. Yeah. Not this good. I mean, which tells you what truly great goaltending can give you. Right. Which is what they have. Yeah. You know, and then there's the whole sort of Johnny Gaudreau situation, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, do you swing for the fences because he's signing with Philadelphia next year? Right. You know, like, I mean, this is almost getting Bobrovsky-esque. You know, like everybody knew Sergei Bobrovsky was signing with Florida. Everybody knew it. You know, and now, like, is it just a fait accompli that Johnny Gaudreau is going to replace Claude Giroux in Philadelphia? Right. As a free agent signing in the summer? I don't know, but I think you have to sort of contemplate a reality where Johnny Gaudreau is not a part of it. Yeah, it's and how many times do you get a team like this that goes on this kind of heater, and you know, it's a vexing situation because there's, you know, I mean, how close can you get, right? I mean, you can only get close so many times, and your window closes, and you know, Calgary, is their window closing after this year? Well, certainly if they lose Johnny Gaudreau, it's not as open as it was. Yeah, I mean, big time. The thing is,
is that like I really wondered if the Tyler Toffoli trade to Calgary would be very similar to like the Thomas Vanek trade to Montreal, where Montreal was already humming. Then they bring in the best goal scorer available, which Tyler Toffoli, I think it's not exactly a hot take to say he's probably the best goal scorer available in this draft, in this free agency, I should say. And they bring him in, and it just elevated them to a new level. And so, and then you look at the other part of that puzzle, which is the excellent goaltending that you mentioned. And yeah, maybe, they might have what it takes. And at the, at a certain point, and a friend of mine likes to say this, at a certain point, rebuilding is all fine and good, but at a certain point, you've got to be built.
Right. Exactly. Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they are. I mean, so now it becomes a matter of, are you willing to just not throw away, but trade away the picks, the few picks that you have?
Yeah.
Are you willing to do that? Or are you willing to get rid of one of those, good young prospects for a big fish?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it comes down to that basically.
Yeah.
You deal away one or both of those second round picks, and like you might as well do the draft remotely if you're Calgary, right? Like, I mean, we're not picking till round 5 and we only got a 5th and a 7th, so
yeah, we're having a scouting meeting in Hawaii the day of the draft.
Yeah, we'll call in our pick,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, big time. So check out kencampbell.substack.com, and we will move on to the next segment, which is